After two devastating and terrifying attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas to start this year, Americans are looking for leadership in a time of crisis. But unfortunately, Donald Trump is our president-elect. And so while President Biden is offering words of support and showing his leadership and character, making sure the communities affected feel safe and know that the president is behind them, Donald Trump, who will be president way too soon, is doing the opposite, using crises for political capital to push fear-mongering about immigrants, to amplify his agenda of anger and hate. And he's doing it, like he always does, by lying. And he is being called out and condemned for that, as he should be, but surprisingly, Fox, yes, the Fox propaganda outlet, joined in on that condemnation with a brutal on-air fact check of Donald Trump that we are going to get into that I am sure is infuriating him. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into what Fox had to say about Donald Trump's wild accusations, I want to see a clip of Jim Acosta on a panel with some Trump stooges trying to stick up for the ridiculous and horrifying comments he made, and Jim shutting him down right here.
That said, we can't ignore the fact that from 2021 to 2024, there were 400 people on the terrorist watch list that were stopped at the border. And those are just the people that we stopped. So it is a real issue. And I think that's what President Trump does.
Yeah, but Neil,
he brings focus to these.
You might have people coming across the border, and yes,
on the
that
terrorist
is
watch list.
Okay, that's obviously a problem. But if that is not the case in New Orleans and that is not the case in Las Vegas, you can't bring it up. You can't bring it up.
I think
it's not
what the president's objective is to bring attention to what he identifies as the problem. He believes that concerns about border and border security were vital to his winning election and wants to highlight those issues. And I think that is what he has chosen to do in this particular instance. I think, as we have seen for really the past decade, you don't necessarily take all his tweets literally. It's about the issue that he's trying to raise.
This is the same old scapegoating that we've seen. Like, this is nothing new, and this is disgusting of what we're seeing. Like, what happened in New Orleans is disgusting. We should talk about all the facts to make sure this could never happen again, but not put it on the backs of my grandparents or my parents who were immigrants, all immigrants being something that's bad. Immigrants are good. Immigrants are good for our economy. Having bad people stopped, I agree, is good as well. But we can't let misinformation. This is how you get more attacks like this, like somebody from Dallas, Texas driving to a Walmart in El Paso and start shooting Mexicans because they think that Mexicans are invading the country. This is where something like this starts.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, this is a problem, and you know, you were saying a few moments ago you can't take him literally. Why shouldn't you take the president of the United States literally? Isn't that sort of a baseline expectation that he should stick to the facts?
I think, look, in this particular instance, and I didn't see the exact language he used in the True Social post, I don't think he was saying that this individual crossed illegally, or if he was, it was based on initial reporting that was incorrect, that somebody had crossed
We can show it up
Eagle
on screen
Pass.
again. I mean, he's talking about the...
But he has a valid
point. He's blaming Biden's open borders policy.
And again,
he's talking about that on True Social. I mean,
but does he tie it directly to this particular?
When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. Not in this case.
Not in this case,
what he is saying in that Truth Social post is false. That is false.
He's not saying that this individual crossed the border illegally, right, but there were 400 people on the terrorist watch list.
Of course, but when there's an act of terrorism in this country, the incoming president should tell the truth to the American people. I mean, that is just... Isn't that what the president should do at all times?
He's talking about securing the border, and he's been talking for years about securing the border, and he believes, and I think the data bears out, that he won the election partially because
I mean, I just have to say, here he goes
border.
Again. He talks about everybody else being fake news, and he's the one peddling fake news. But Neil and Chuck, thanks very much.
Now, I wanted to start with that clip of Jim Acosta, not only because he's a friend of the show, but because that's exactly what we need right now. This ridiculous rhetoric being pushed by Republicans trying to seize on a moment of crisis to push their crazed agenda being called out. We need to be doing that, because as Donald Trump begins his mass deportation plan, what I expect to happen is Donald Trump will use the action of actually deporting illegal immigrants who have committed crimes as a cover for the the deportation of legal immigrants, the separation of families, the profiling of people who were born in America but don't look like the type of American that Donald Trump thinks of in his mind. That's what they're going to be doing. And so when people respond to what a crisis it will be that Donald Trump is doing so, he will use these false flags. He will elevate his rhetoric to an even more terrifying and angry level. And we have to be ready to call it out, which is, like I said, again, surprisingly what Fox did with this brutal on-air fact check.
Meanwhile, the man who's moving into this White House behind me in less than 3 weeks, President-elect Donald Trump put out a statement on social media earlier today that reads as follows. When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Our hearts are with all the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. Now, the former president said criminals coming in a statement, meaning into our country. But to be clear, Molly and Brian, the suspect was born in the United States. He served in the United States Army. He was a veteran. The FBI is the lead agency in this investigation, going through the social media and any other accounts associated with the suspect. But that key bulletin right there by the Louisiana State Police, the Associated Press, was first to report, shows potentially other people involved. And the FBI was cagey during that news conference as far as saddling in with a specific number of how many other suspects. Governor Jeff Landry, the Republican governor in Louisiana, said they essentially don't want to tip their hat to anybody and tell any other potential suspects or potential accomplices what they know. But President Biden continuing to get updates from afar. He will be back at the White House tomorrow. And of course, it's possible at any time we will hear some more formal statement about this tragedy on New Year's Day. Molly, Brian?
Absolutely.
You know it's bad when Fox is fact-checking Donald Trump, and although they peddle and dis and misinformation, and they do want to heighten tensions, they want people to be on edge, they want people to be upset and afraid, now is not the time. I don't understand how more people can't grapple with that fact. When there are crises happening, when people are potentially in danger, you don't want to cause more danger and unrest. And this is what we are going to be struggling with, and this is what we warned people about for this entire campaign. What will happen over the next 4 years? When Donald Trump came into office, the world was relatively stable from an international relations point of view. Obviously, the economy was booming thanks to President Obama, and he is inheriting one of the two of those things. The economy is booming because of President Biden. Donald Trump can kick his feet up and unfortunately give a giant tax cut to Elon Musk, and things probably won't change all that significantly because of the long-term investment in American manufacturing and American infrastructure and our technology that we are building in the U.S. with good, well-paying jobs. Donald Trump cannot touch any of that. He can go cut a bunch of ribbons and things will probably be fine. But when it comes to foreign conflicts, Donald Trump is ill-prepared, ill-suited, and going to be quite ill-advised on how to handle them. He'll be inflaming them himself. Donald Trump talks so much about being this anti-war president that he brought peace all across the world, which was never true, that he didn't start new wars, which was never true. But he's already saying that he wants to, invade Canada, Greenland, Panama, that he's already starting conflicts, making world leaders uneasy. And when Donald Trump promises peace, what he really means is ceding ground to dictators who will take that as an opportunity to do whatever they want, creating just that much more conflict. And so at a time right now when there is a lot going on in the world, the thought of Donald Trump in the Oval Office should be terrifying when we're already getting a little bit of a glimpse of what we have seen already for 4 years from Donald Trump from 2016 to 2020, his failed leadership then, which will be even worse now as he is willing to cede more ground to Putin, to Xi, when he's letting Elon Musk run the show, who is having off the record, off the books meetings with our adversaries in Iran, China, Elon doing whatever he wants to prioritize his pockets. That's what the next 4 years is going to look like. And so we have to focus on our concerted messaging effort to not just react to Donald Trump, but to put together the argument of his failures and the promises that he is broken, which we know were never going to happen because he's Donald Trump and he's a liar and he doesn't actually care about any of the things that he's saying. But the anti-war sentiment that Donald Trump espoused really resonated with people. Donald Trump's promise to bring peace to the world, which, of course, like I said, is not something he's capable of, nor actually really cares about, just loves his dictator friends. But if this is a message that resonates, we can't just react to Trump, but show how his reaction, his outlandish actions cause these problems, how Donald Trump creates the unrest in the world and at home with his rhetoric. And that's a message that we need to get through. And it's a message we are going to be talking about every single day on this show because it is important to continue to drive it home, even if Donald Trump is not running again in 2028, which at this point I don't know. But more unrest there. The fact that we live in a democracy where presidents serve 2 terms and that's it. And we don't know if Donald Trump wants to run again. These are the types of problems that we need to call out. This is the type of unrest that Donald Trump creates that does not bring your egg prices down, that does not make gas cheaper, that doesn't help with anything, but only serves the chaos that Donald Trump needs to skate by. And we need to call it out. And we're going to every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.